We're rolling into week 11. We're not too far away from the fantasy football playoffs, which means we got to get our ducks in a row because we got to get our benches together, our handcuffs together, our insurance policies, just in case one of our running backs go down. We are going to go deep looking at the waiver wire today. We're going to look at the shallow end, and we're going to get to the deep end to help everybody out. Talking about the entire waiver wire. That's what we do on every Tuesday. We talk about the entire waiver wire, give you a perspective on every single player, and then you get the information. You can make the move that you need. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. I'm going deeper, strategizing the waiver wire than anybody else on YouTube and in fantasy football in general. Videos every single day throughout the week, earlier than anybody else, deeper and analyzing other waiver wire content. We're going to help you set your lineups later this week with the must-start videos, and then we're going to deep dive all the trending players, multiple videos a day. It's a la carte. You pick what you want. It's also free by one dude that just loves to help you out. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. You do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. The first thing I want to call out today, and it's mentioned on a few sites. It makes sense. Really depends on your league settings. Trey Benson, if you don't have an IR spot and he's floating there, now's the time to pay attention to it. I believe he should have been stashed. A lot of people who follow this channel, they stashed. This is a stash channel. We stash players. So if you're new here, that IR spot is a free spot for a player that's sitting on IR. So if you don't even have him and there's somebody on IR on the waiver wire, pick him up and put him there. I don't care who it is. Marshawn Lloyd, I don't care. That spot is best used. It's wasting time right there if you're not using it. Sure, you can drop that player whenever you want and whatever. Do whatever you want. But that spot is best used. I know it ain't going to do nothing really while that player's sitting on IR, but every so often, that player comes back and they do a little something, or at least get you some value on your team. Trey Benson, be on the lookout. Woody Marks might be on the waiver wire in some leagues. I know in a lot of leagues, he is on the active roster on some team in your league. I field a lot of start-sit questions. Woody Marks is in a lot of those. I look at him as a touchdown gamble every single week, and that game script went off the hook last week, and that normally does not happen with the Texans, so there's an anomaly there. Also, 80% snap share. We got a touchdown, 63 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, and I look at him as a touchdown gamble in the flex. Like, if I'm starting him as my RB2, then I'm kind of worried about my backfield. I better be jacked up a wide receiver, and that might be okay if that's happening. You probably got him and probably some other waiver wire running backs. That's all right. If I'm looking at him as a waiver wire pickup, he's one of the few that you could put into your flex and just close your eyes and just pray that he crosses the goal line with, and he might get you there about every other game. He has actually hit to the fairway 3 out of his last 4 games. So maybe I need to give him a little bit more flowers here. We also got Tennessee coming up. Buffalo, both of them are getting road dog on the ground. You got the Colts on the road. Interesting game scripts with them with a lot of firepower. We might have a strong end with Woody Marks. Blake Corum. We're getting into my favorite handcuffs. I'm pretty much listing the handcuffs that you should be looking at. Blake Corum will transition, like face molding and everything, into Kyren Williams. Like, he will turn into Kyren Williams if Kyren Williams gets hurt. And that's why we're stashing him. That's why he's a big deal in fantasy football right now. We're in double-digit weeks. You want to get these stashes before people start talking them up, so you don't have to fight fab for them. When you have to fight fab for them and unload your bankroll, that's when it's not cool. You're spending up, and you can use that bankroll later on somebody else. If I got Kyren Williams, I got Blake Corum. Right now, definitely, we're in double-digit weeks. We got to get prepared for the playoffs. You do not want to go up against Kyren Williams 2.0 in the playoffs when you lose Kyren Williams, or if you lose, and you're down a running back, a promising, consistent running back, because Kyren Williams 2.0 is going to be Kyren Williams out there on the field scoring points against you. Tyler Allgeier is going to get some fab this week. People are going to pay up for him. We've been talking about him all year long. I've been saying, hey, get him if you got Bijan before we get into double-digit weeks. You can get him if you don't have Bijan, Because if Bijan goes down, he is getting the workload. Also, he might be one of the most important handcuffs because he's one of the few running backs out there in the league that is actually getting you to the fairway at least just randomly, like once every 2.5 to 3 games. So if you got to throw one of your players off your bench into your flex and just close your eyes, that's where he's giving you value. You may not like that saying, like, throw him in your flex and close your eyes. Some of these weeks it's working out for you. Some of it's not, but that's what he's doing, and that's more than a lot of handcuffed running backs, almost all of them. But if Bijan goes down, he ain't going to be Bijan. But we also got the sample of a 1,000-yard rusher here. Very strong between the tackles. Good around the goal line. Brian Robinson Jr., same thing. Same thing. Christian McCaffrey goes down. You're going to be fighting the fat. We've scored touchdowns the last 2 weeks. Touches are starting to become more consistent here. That being said, that's something to look at. Maybe they use him more in the back end of the season. Maybe they do that. Maybe something happens to Christian McCaffrey. You never know. If you got Christian McCaffrey, I imagine you had him cuffed for most of the year. Now it's time to make sure you got that cuff. A lot of you do have that cuff because you knew this going in. You made this a precedent when you made that choice, when you clicked that button in the first round. You're like, I'm just going to cuff him. That's probably what you did. That's probably what a lot of people did. That's probably what I would have did. That's what I did when I drafted him in a lot of leagues. But Brian Robinson here, it will have some upside. He will be a fab buster. There's other good running backs too. It could be a little bit of a committee, but I'm also not expecting him to be Christian McCaffrey. Tank Bigsby. What we saw from him, he's very explosive. It was a rough matchup against Green Bay. That was just a nasty game script, low volume game. But you're looking at Tank Bigsby here. He's going to be the guy getting the poundage up the gut. I'm calling out Will Shipley as well. I know he's not pictured here, but I will call out players as well intermittently. So you got to pay attention because a lot of people will just scroll and just look at the pictures and just roll out. I like to be sneaky. I like to be very sneaky. I think Tank Bigsby's the guy that you pick up. That would be the fab buster. Will Shipley will also be used intermittently. He could also get you to the fairway in some moments. He'll be a little bit cheaper if that happens. That's something to pay attention to. Basil Tuten coming in here. Travis Etienne goes down. He's getting the Travis Etienne role. 4.3 speed, very explosive running back prospect. He's going to be getting opportunities if that happens. You're also looking at LaQuint Allen, another running back catching strays here on the waiver wire content. So if you're just scrolling past, too bad. LaQuint Allen, though, he would catch some value. He could catch you to the fairway. They could mix this up. It could be a little bit of a committee here. Tuten, though, would be the guy that everybody's picking up, everybody's rolling with. He's very explosive. He would get that Travis Etienne roll, whatever that's worth to you, but also a guy to stash. Manny Wilson. He's the stash in this offense, and this offense can get electric in game scripts. It's also been very off and on this season, but he's also one of the few handcuffed running backs that could be a standalone asset in fantasy football as just closing your eyes as you throw him into the flex. Like, you're not going to count on him unless Josh Jacobs goes down, but Manny Wilson has a lot of upside in this offense if that does happen. Tyjae Spears. The glory hold is if Tony Pollard got traded at the deadline. That didn't happen. So now we got a shared backfield here on an offense that nobody really wants to invest in. We're coming out of the bye. They might have some changes. We thought there was going to be some changes in week 9. There wasn't due to the trade deadline. He's getting enough workload to where, like, he can be a flex gamble for you. But the upside of him just winning your season is buoyed to Tony Pollard and whether or not he can finish the season healthy. And then on top of that, buoyed to Cam Ward in this offense, whether or not they can pick up the pace and really make more of this offense. Devin Singletary, 17 fantasy points in the last 2 games, 16 carries in the last 2 games, 5 targets in the last 2 games. He's getting volume. He's getting opportunities. With his workload, he's probably going to score a touchdown somewhere down the line. Just looking at the workload and increase of that, Giants going to move the football here and there. Dabble got fired, so there might be some changes with that. And you're looking at this. We got the Packers coming up. You don't like that matchup. You got the Lions on the road. You got the Patriots on the road. You got some rougher matchups. But if you're looking for a back that's getting touches, has a little bit better touchdown potential, and you understand that there's a high likelihood of him busting, Devin Singletary's fine because he has potential for that to get you to the fairway. He does have a likelihood of busting on all these weeks, but if you understand that and you just need the touches, you're in that dire straits, I get it. Sean Tucker led the team in rushing the last 2 games. Rashad White sucks at running the football. He's good at catching it out of the backfield. That's about it. He's actually getting worse. He was always been inefficient running the ball. We knew that could potentially happen here. Sean Tucker just starting to merge because Rashad White is so inefficient. Sean Tucker is a gamble play. He is a gamble play because you do not know if he's going to be taking over this backfield or if they're just going to split it up. And some of these matchups here can be advantageous for him. We do not know when Bucky is going to be back. When Bucky's back, and if he's Bucky when he's back due to the injury, then it's over for these backs. But Sean Tucker has a good prospect profile from Syracuse, projected to be a second-round pick coming out for the draft, fell out of the draft due to a heart condition, is able to stick with this roster even though they drafted 2 very good running backs and able to carve out a role, and he would be a big piece for any team out there in the league. This team just kept cashing at running back. He's got some opportunity here. Maybe he can cash in on it with Rashad White not getting it done. Tahj Brooks is getting a unique video. I am dropping that soon. This is a stash that you may want to pick up. If Chase Brown goes down, he's the next man up in an offense that pushes the pace. If Chase Brown goes down, he is the next man up. Samaje Perine to miss a couple weeks with a high ankle sprain. Tahj Brooks, it's time. He is in the Chase Brown role from years ago, where you got a talented late-round running back here, record setter at Texas Tech. You see it on the tape. You're like, well, he's in a great offense. I wonder what that's going to look like. We're getting close. We're getting close. Some of these matchups, not as advantageous. You do have Pittsburgh there. That last game with Flacco was fire. You do have the Patriots. You have Baltimore on the road. They're looking a little different now. He's a pickup. We got to sound the alarm on that. Devin Neal. He's tethered to Alvin Kamara. This team looked a little bit different against the Carolina Panthers. Maybe Shuck doesn't sucks, but he probably does. He's got the tools, but he's very raw. This offense is very shaky. But if Kamara goes down, Devin Neal and insert other name, Audric Estime. Look at them. But 4 carries, 22 yards, 5.5 yards per clip, 3 targets. Devin Neal's getting work. Very good prospect profile out of Kansas. Produced early in his career, all 4 years. This is a running back that can get it done for a short bit for you in fantasy. Keaton Mitchell's here. We've talked about him off and on throughout the season. He's been banged up this year. They're starting to use him a little bit more. And they're talking about wanting to use him a little bit more. When coaches say that, sometimes it's just like 1 extra carry, or like they're thinking about it more on the sideline. They just don't do it. But Keaton Mitchell here is lightning in a bottle. That's what he is. He's got the Will Fuller effect. So some of you guys may not want this even if he even becomes the starter. But this is a running back that's lightning in a bottle. Like, you got to understand this asset. When I say Will Fuller effect, think about Jameson Williams and what you're seeing at wide receiver this year. All those down games and those up games that just splash. That's what he would do if he was getting 10 to 12 opportunities a game. Like, he would give you weeks of nothing and then weeks of bam, blast off. Now, you may hate that. A lot of you guys will hate that. Some of you guys are like, I love that in my flex. I love putting guys like that in my flex. Like, I don't care about these start-sit decisions anymore. I'm going to put a guy like that in my flex, and I'm going to get some action on this Ravens game. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat with every carry. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat with every deep ball shot to Jameson Williams. Some of you guys want that. That's a preference play. That's a preference play. I would love to see what he would look like production-wise with a full workload. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but he's lightning in a bottle, and with limited workload, he can be a Jameson Williams-esque running back. Ollie Gordon, Jaylen Wright. Jaylen Wright, just like Keaton Mitchell, lightning in a bottle. Jameson Williams-esque running back. Ollie Gordon, I could see him just siphoning a lot of the work up the gut around the goal line. If Achan goes down, Both these running backs are going to be big pickups. I imagine it will be some sort of committee here. Jalen Wright's lightning in a bottle. He only needs like a handful of touches. Ollie Gordon is a smasher around the red zone. Kenneth Gainwell would get the work if Warren goes down. He would get the work. We've already seen this. We already know about this. Kaleb Johnson, raw with the ball not in his hands right now. Only 62 pass blocking reps in college because he was the whole offense, and the offense never threw the ball, too. 46 targets to the main wide receiver last year at Iowa. That's something to pay attention to. And so he's very opportune at pass protection. And that was noted in training camp. We went over the training camp clips. If you're not here in the summer, I go over training camp clips, mini camp clips of all these rookies, all the players, all the notes, and you would have known this going into your draft. And then I do you need videos going into the draft of all the rookies, and then I relay that to you. And I relayed that and Arthur Smith, how he's very tricky with these running backs. We saw that with Bijan. There would be games where the workload just randomly would just be weird with him. Like you'd see him on the sideline for a couple series. And you're looking at this, it would take an injury to one of those running backs, and it would have to be an injury that knocks him out multiple games for Arthur Smith to feel like he needs to play around with him a little bit. But the upside's there. He is a stash lottery ticket play. Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, I did a battle video on here. Ray Davis would be the fab buster. Ty Johnson would be the next man up. Everybody would speculate on both these running backs. Ray Davis is the highly likelihood of getting all the touches up the gut and around the red zone. Ty Johnson with less workload, I would not be surprised if he would outscore Ray Davis in a one-game setting. Ray Davis has higher odds of beating him out in a one-game setting, two-game setting, but the cold hand will get put in a graveyard. We saw that with Arizona, unfortunately, with Emari Demercado and Michael Carter. And Ty Johnson has the explosiveness to be the hot hand. That's something to pay attention to. I think both running backs would have value. I think Ray Davis would be the guy to stash here, but I'm not going to sleep on Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson just needs that one run with a little bit of crack with some green. He's going to be racking it up. Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols. Chris Rodriguez is in a lot of waiver wire content, and he's a hope and prayer to cross the goal line, honestly. And with JD5 out, I'm not really chasing these running backs. You can do whatever you want. I know the fantasy football community is just throwing these names out there. They're kind of slow on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I told you there was just going to be a bunch of backs like that this year, and they're going to come and go. And he had his moment, and it was free in drafts if you were drafting early. It cost you a good bit, though, if you were drafting late. When that price went up, that's when I was like, hey, guys. But Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols, you do you. Touchdown gambles. You're getting a little bit of workload with McNichols. If he gets some open space, he's explosive. I'm still not chasing it. Bill Mafa might be out there soon. A big physical running back with good feet. Jaydon Blue is in the doghouse. He fumbled. He's in the doghouse. And this team will put you in the doghouse real quick. That's one thing we've seen here. They'll put you in the doghouse real quick. Jaydon Blue's been in the doghouse, it feels like. And he was banged up in training camp. He was a little bit raw coming out of college. The thing about Jaydon Blue, and I'll go on the downside and then I'll get to his upside. Everybody talks about the upside anyways. You already know about it. The downside for him is he had this great, immense high school profile, never lived up to it in college. Never lived up to his high school profile. The upside to that is like first-round pick. First-round pick, one of the top running backs. At one time, the top running back in his class. We go to Texas, never fired. Never fired. I get it. You can make the excuse there was good running backs there. We kind of get that feeling like there's a lot of potential that's not coming out. The upside's the potential. The potential is the 4.3 speed, ran to 110s at high school, catches the ball out of the backfield, the PPR prowess. Like, he has all this potential. If he can capture that or get thrust in an opportunity where a little bit of that comes out, that might help you. Bill Mafa is all blood and guts, up the gut, stout vision, moves laterally very well, has good feet. He's got a little like Javonte Williams in his game where he moves laterally very well, but he's got that size and power to him. He's actually a nice running back to watch at tape. Go watch his games at Clemson. He'll pop out. He's been battling with injuries for like the last year. That's what caused him fall in the draft. If that didn't happen, probably would have been a mid-roundish pick, maybe a couple rounds higher. Brashard Smith. We're just watching him from afar right now. We're coming out of the bye. We're going to see if there's some changes. Usually this team will throw in a few more wrinkles in the offense. Going into the playoffs, they did not trade for a running back. Every time I look at his face, I find a different sell tactic for you. Like every single time. They did not trade for a running back. They did not trade for Breece Hall. Evidently, they looked at what they had, and you saw what they has been doing with Pacheco and Hunt, with Brashard Smith, and they said, we're cool. We're cool. With Pacheco out, 20% snap share, not as much work. It is what it is. It was also a weird-ass game script if you want to lean on that. You're getting a higher snap share since week 7, if you want to like that or not, 35%, 13%, 20%. Targets reduced. But around week 4 to week 7, the targets were up there. When he was out there for his handful of snaps, the ball was coming his way. He is a gadget player in this offense that could become more, and he might be a play for next year, but he's a deep lottery ticket stash. That's what I've been calling him this whole time. Michael Carter, Emari, Demercado. We're back. We're back. The thing is, Benson better be back soon because I don't want to look at these two faces again. Mario Demercado is the most explosive player, gets work in the passing game. You got San Francisco, Jacksonville, next 2 games up. Gritty, nasty, game scripts. You got Michael Carter here. Sucks. I told you he sucks. Might get the touches, and he might cross the goal line for you, and that's what you're hoping for? He sucks. He sucks. Like, they cut him. And then they brought him back. They cut him. Emari Demercado had that fumble around the goal line, went to purgatory here for the Cardinals. He's explosive. He's a little bit juiced in the passing game. He's your upside play. He's your upside gamble. If you're actually trying to win your week with big production, it's Demercado. If you're just trying to get by and you're just praying he crosses the goal line, it's Carter. I think you know the answer here. Those are the running backs that we're looking at today. Going deep on the waiver wire. Who you looking at to pick up today? I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, or you're going to miss out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.